So it's finally time for the 2025 F1 season, and I have never been so excited for an F1 season ever. We've actually got a really good chance at there being a championship fight between 4 different teams this season, which is something I've wanted to see in F1 for ages. So here's what to expect from this weekend's Australian Grand Prix. So the Albert Park Street Circuit is located all the way down in Melbourne, right at the bottom of Australia. Over the years in F1, it's become a fan favourite track, and honestly it's one of the bucket list tracks I really want to go to in the future. This weekend is the first time since 2019, I want to say, Australia has hosted the opening race of the season. It was meant to in 2020, however, something called coronavirus happened. Since 2021, Bahrain has hosted the opening race of the season, and honestly, it's never really felt quite the same not having Australia host the opening race. Which is why I am so glad it's finally hosting the opening race again, because I don't know why, but when I was growing up as a kid, there was just something about Australia being the first race of the season that was just really special and amazing. I don't know, it's just something about getting up really early in the morning to watch an F1 race, the first F1 race of the season as a kid. I absolutely loved it. I don't know why. Yes, I was a really weird kid, but anyway. But for me, honestly, not having Australia host the opening race of the season is like not having the FA Cup final at Wembley. It's just not right. In 2022, the track went through a lot of changes after a 3-year break from F1, that being because of coronavirus. However, they made turn 6 a really fast corner instead of a really boring slow corner that spreads the cars out because of a concertina effect. Honestly, now it's just a really fast right-hander with just a small lift off the throttle, which you could argue made the track a little bit more dangerous, but a little bit more on that in a few seconds. They also removed the really boring turn 9, turn 10 chicane, which I'm so glad they did, because that chicane was just unneeded. There was literally so much space for there not to have to be a chicane, and I'm so glad they finally realised that, because cars can now follow each other a lot more easier. But yeah, about turn 6 making the track a bit more dangerous. Last season we saw George Russell, I think it was on the last lap, he crashed at that corner, and then he crashed so heavily that he bounced off a wall and was stuck in the middle of the circuit, and you could tell by the panic in his voice over the team radio just how scared he was.
Red flag, red flag, red flag, I'm in the middle of a track. Okay. Red flag, red flag.
Thankfully, they brung out the red flag. However, if it wasn't brung out in time, then someone could have so easily gone straight into the middle of George Russell, which would have not been a very good thing at all. Probably could have killed him. Thankfully, it didn't, so we don't have to have that discussion. But yeah, maybe... I think they actually have made a few changes to that corner anyway this season. I think they made it a bit wider. I could be completely wrong on this, but I'm sure I've heard somewhere that they've made a lot of the circuit a bit more wider so cars don't bounce off a wall straight back into the middle of the track. Since the changes, overtakes are now a lot more common around the circuit. Albert Park also has the most DRS zones out of any other track on the calendar with 4, giving cars a little bit more of a chance to follow each other without being impacted too badly by dirty air. For the race itself this weekend, it's forecast to rain, which is going to make things very interesting. If this is your first time watching F1 this season, then when it rains, it basically equals the playing field out a bit more because it's more down to the driver having a good performance rather than the car. For me, I think the favourites for this season coming out of pre-season testing is McLaren, as everyone's saying they've got the strongest car. However, with the potential rain, that could really mix things up. This weekend's race is going to give us a hint at who has a strong car and who has a poor car. Apart from everyone saying McLaren have the strongest car, pre-season testing didn't really give too much away. Everyone had their struggles. Red Bull looked like they were all struggling a bit through the corners. But Ferrari looked really inconsistent. Mercedes excelled, but that was in cooler conditions. We all know that the Mercedes is definitely a better race car when it's not in warmer conditions. Which somehow at Bahrain it was cool and not sunny, which I don't think anyone was expecting in pre-season testing. However, if the rain does happen this weekend, then obviously that's going to be a lot cooler conditions than normal in Australia, so that should make Mercedes quite competitive if they can handle the rain. Last year's race was won by Ferrari and Carlos Sainz, however most of that was thanks to Max Verstappen having an engine failure earlier on in the race. However, to be fair to Ferrari, the track has really suited them over the last few seasons, and they've won 4 out of the last 6 Grand Prix at Australia. So also watch out for Ferrari, as the track tends to suit them quite well. Also, most of the crowd will be supporting Oscar Piastri as it is his home race. Thanks to his home support and back, and I think Oscar Piastri will really be wanting to win this race and start the season off strongly. Honestly, going into this season, I think he's got to have his best season yet in F1, and I think he will. Is he ready for a championship battle? I honestly don't know. Maybe he needs another season to get ready for one, but we'll have to wait and see. So far, he has been so impressive during his F1 career. He already knows what it takes to win a race, so can he go that step further and maybe win a championship this season? Like I said, we'll have to wait and see. However, I think if the McLaren is as strong as people are saying it is, then definitely watch out for Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris this weekend. So here's a little preview of the Albert Park Street Circuit. Straight into turn 1, down to 5th, quite a quick corner. I go quite wide there, ignore the invalidated lap time, into the first DRS zone, straight down the straight into turn 3, heavy braking down to turn 4, make sure you hit that apex, which I didn't do too badly. Quite a tricky little section down here, straight back onto the full throttle through there. And then here's where they made the first change. This is now a really fast shift down 2 gears into 5th. This is really hard without any game sound, and now we're coming into the second DRS straight. It's where cars are able to follow each other a lot closely. You still don't really see too much overtaking down into this corner that's coming up here because it's way too quick. Turn 9 and 10 I think it is, or is it turn 10 and 11, I don't know. Into the third DRS straight now. This is where the best overtaking opportunity is for the circuit. Heavy braking again, into 4th. Straight back on the power, and then sometimes this is flat. In qualifying this will probably be flat. In the race, a quick shift down to 5th. Meant to be in 3rd there, not 2nd like I did. Into the final corner. There's the pit lane on the right. Last DRS straight. And all the way up to 8th gear, and that's a lap off the Albert Park circuit. Albert Park's always been one of them circuits I would absolutely love to go to. It's genuinely on my bucket list to go to one day. Which also means I can get some content from my travel channel, which, by the way, if you haven't already, go and subscribe to that, as there will be some content coming from that in the not too distant future. Honestly, I am really looking forward to this weekend's Australian Grand Prix. Like I said, I have never been so excited for an F1 season in my life. Subscribe to the channel, as I will be covering all of this weekend and all of this season's F1 action. Comment down below if you're excited for this season and the Australian Grand Prix. I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.